Okay, kia ora tātou and welcome back for the second session. In the first session, we talked about finding literature that relates to your kaupapa. So by now you should be spending some good quality time looking for that literature. And now don't forget that that's the key. When you find quality literature, it helps make it easier to write the rest of the review. So yeah, really spend a good chunk of time searching for literature, and then that'll make the session easier for you to accomplish. So let's just get straight into it. We'll just go over. So again, with the session A or part A, that was about how we can find literature, like using keywords, going to Google Scholar, using the online library to find articles, and that was all in part A. Part B, again, once we have found really quality literature, like we found in the part A, so I'm going to use the same kaupapa and some of that literature we found to carry on part B. And then part C, which will be the next one, will be, well, once we do get all the information, and once we do write it all up, then how do we create our literature review? So this session, part B, is, like we've said, it's about identifying the information to critique. Now again, just like last time, I just want to apologize now because it's going to be messy again, because we're going to be switching between the reading and the PowerPoint and typing and going back into the reading, in and out and in and out. But the purpose of that is so when you're doing yours, and I had two readings to look at, the hunt and the other one from part A, but what we might do is focus on one and do it quite quality job of it. In any case, so that's the purpose of today, to identify the information in the reading to critique. So the overview for today is we're going to do an example of creating a critique, and it's Lang and Hunt. Those are the two that I identified in part A, but we may just focus on one. In each literature, we're going to again look at the abstract, the methods, the findings, just again exactly what we talked about at the end of part A session, and then how do we critique across the readings. So this one here, this is a really useful table. So we'll start with this. Okay, I'm just going to pull this down. And this is where it's going to start getting messy. So what you could do, again, is copy and paste, create a table like this in a Word document. And what it just does is it just gives you a really nice comparative graph that you can put into your final report or even into your critique. It doesn't count towards the word count. So yeah, this way it just gives you a really nice overview. So you can copy and paste this into your into a Word document to follow along. So what we'll do is to start with, now which one do we want to? I'm going to hide my photo. This one, or let's start with this one. So again, we're going title, name and year, 2013. Study 1, it is Lang, C, 2013, and then the title, Effective Pākehā Teachers of Māori Students. Now, for the purpose of this, because it's just going to get quite messy if I type, I'm just going to put what page number you can find it. I can find it at for later. But what I would recommend is that when you're doing this, actually type it in. Just for the purpose of now, I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, so let's go down into. I've already started reading through it and highlighting some parts. So after reading the abstract, it's really good to just read through the table of contents and see what kind of chapter headings, what sub-chapters and everything that the researcher used. And so, of course, you can see I've highlighted the literature. So I think this was the first one this particular tauira found. And so again, obviously the recommendation was that she goes to the reference reference page right at the end and just start reading through the titles and seeing, again, if there was anything interesting that she would want to implement into her own or access to read. So when you find one really good one, go to see what literature they reviewed and look at them, and you might want to go and read some of those further. The other thing I've already highlighted here, you can see, is the methodology, the research questions, the research design, the selection of participants. You've got here methods, the semi-structured. So even as I'm reading through here, I can already put the information in. So data gathering, anyway, I'll put the pages in later, but semi-structured interviews, I'm sure that's what I saw. Yeah, semi-structured interviews. Semi-structured interviews. Okay, I'm just going to delete that because it's getting in the way. Just give us more room. Semi-structured interviews. What else have we got here? So she's using teacher, parents, and children. Now again, so it's just sort of like being clear who you want to use as participants. So again, for her, for the tauira who did this, she was more interested in the teacher, you know, so what can teachers do? So if we just highlight that, then that's a section of this whole document, because this is her, when you think about it, you've got to look, this is her thesis for her doctorate. Okay, so this woman's doctorate, so it's going to be huge. So for the student, our student, who already knew she wanted, as a Pākehā woman, she wanted to know what useful strategies she could use. So while the other participants will yield useful information, for the purpose of her own rangahau, it was be only useful at this stage to focus on the information that the teachers, that you can see here, that they submitted or that they gave in. Yeah, so even as I'm reading here, I can already start seeing some of the things that I'm already starting to input into here. And right now it hasn't shown me any numbers, like how many. It's all right. So we can go in here, and so you can see here in the background. So I know by reading, she actually interviewed Liz, Michelle, Damien, and Jen. So she actually interviewed 4 teachers. So again, I can put that in here. 4. Sorry. Yeah, so I know she interviewed 4, and 4 is okay. And so that's why we're saying to you guys, at this stage, it's not about how many, but it's the quality of interview, of discussions that you're having with your participants. Even 1 is enough, because that's a useful case study. So again, you don't want to be interviewing or participating with more than 4 or 5 people, just because of all the mahi you have to do afterwards. So data analysis, again, I think what she is transcribing, and I think it was thematic. But again, that's what you need to go through. So knowing what to look for, or what you're looking for to finding, is really important to understand in the research as well. So again, you just go through. Again, she's used the Te Koteitanga Effective Teaching Profile. We talked about that in Part A. Well, just the Te Koteitanga project. It was really a huge project that influenced a lot of other projects that came after it. So you can already see, so the Te Koteitanga project created an effective teaching profile. And so you can see effective examples of effective Pākehā primary teachers of Māori students. So you can really see here that section, or that section 5 and 5.1 specifically, will be something that you'd really want to read again with the introduction and with the literature review. And these questions here, what insights, 5.2, may be gleaned about culturally responsive teachers and teaching from effective Pākehā primary teachers of Māori students. Again, really, really useful. So, hang on. I have, yeah, and so you just go straight to those pages. I'm not sure why this is going really, really slowly. So here's the abstract. Okay. And I've already gone through and highlighted some. So when we're talking about the purpose over here, I put the page number. I'll put it in just for the purpose of now. So that's X, purpose X. And actually, just to make it easier for now, I might, because this is a significant proportion of Māori students are not achieving their potential in school. And proportion of Māori students are not blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just keep reading through it and try and look at some information that might be useful. So again, I've started highlighting in here, so you can see again, I chose to interview or spend time in classrooms and the wider school and observe in detail. So it's like there was an observation as well. So that's another method that she used, or a way to gather the data. There was an observation. Oh, sorry. So I put that. Interviews of teachers for now, parents and children. There was an observation. Yeah, it looks ugly, but anyway. Some Pākehā teachers who have been identified. So the other thing in here, what is interesting is to read further about, well, what was the criteria of being an effective Pākehā teacher of Māori students? So again, that's going to be talked about in the thesis. It's not really the purpose of what we're trying to do today, but that's worth reading on. And so again, if you've got a really useful topic, you want to make sure that you're going in and finding the information. Finding the information that really helps. So I know that in here, because I have looked, is one of the main findings, and that's the one that I want to really focus on, is relationships, positive relationships. Now, again, this is your job to go in and find the page number or whatever, but I do know that that's something in there, and then something in the rationale is to give the rationale for the study. Again, is something that I need to look for. But in this one, there's a lot of really good findings. So again, it's just going in to find the ones that relate to your topic, because they can also become your themes, right? So you can sort of see what I'm doing, and you go in, and then what I would do after this is go back to the contents page after having a good look at the abstract. Go back to the contents page, so you can see here physical touch as an expression of love, culturally responsive teaching as social justice, and again, that might be what I put here. The rationale is to try and culturally responsive teaching as social justice. ... Okay, and then I'd go back up here. Sorry, just going to go nice and slowly, and go back and just quickly read through. But what I'm going to do now is just do a search and go for relationships. Anyway, it's in there somewhere. For caring for the person, caring for the performance, creating a learning setting. So I'm going to define that as relationship. Okay, so what we're going to do is go and start having a look at Hunt. Same thing. Hunt. A Hunt, that is 2006. And then insert title here. So again, I've already started going through here, looking at some of the information that I need to be looking for anyway. And so again, the purpose of this case study is to gain perspectives of 4 non-Māori beginning teachers on meeting the needs of Māori students. So the purpose, again, the page is interview or, case study, Pākehā teachers who ... The findings, and again here, see the findings of the study confirm the importance of building relationships. So I can already be like, oh yeah, sweet. I mean, ka pai. Relationships. So I can already start seeing that both Lang and Hunt have really identified that for Māori success in education, relationships are really important, and we know that. But these research are really sort of supporting your own whakaaro as well, or your own thoughts about the topic. So whatever you're starting to see that's similar across readings, that helps build the themes that you need to start writing the next section. So that's what I highlighted here. Where does it say? The importance of building relationships, getting to know each Māori child as an individual, so that they engage in their learning. So this one is specifically for arts curriculum, but it doesn't matter what curriculum area because everything else is so relevant for the kaupapa. Okay. And if we look in here, so this one, non-Māori beginning teachers to empower themselves to teach Māori students, that can go into the rationale here. I've again put the page number, empower non-Māori teachers to teach Māori students. Okay, so you're kind of already doing that here. And this is, so you might find 3 or 4. What's another one here? Let's go and have a look for one more. And then we might look over, so again, so we looked at the abstract, then we're going to go to the contents page, which is where? Here. Okay. Now, sorry, just had a moment. Findings. So even here, initial open-ended questions for individual interviews. So here, again, put the page here, individual interviews. What else did she say? Open-ended questions. So semi-structured, open-ended, again, you're kind of like, well, what do they mean? You can Google it and it's really quite clear. Semi-structured, open-ended questions, they're quite similar, but it might be good just again to go and look at the differences. You're doing educational research textbook from year 2 will be really useful to bring out, dust off and use as a reference point. She's also done focus groups. So not only has she done individual, but she's used focus groups as well. That would be a good thing for you to kind of do a little thing on what is a focus group and how can you use it. Yeah, so that's why it's really important to start reading through the contents pages. It's just really helpful. So I want to go straight to page 20. Even here, see, you've got how were the participants selected? So they identified themselves as non-Māori. Identified as non-Māori. Okay, so that's important because when you're making your criteria, so especially for a topic like this, because it's about for our students, so whose was about non-Māori teachers, well, then it's important to kind of think, well, what are other non-Māori teachers doing? Well, for her, it was important to research what other non-Māori teachers are doing to improve educational outcomes for Māori. 18, 19, 20. So that's here. So again, a thematic analysis. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So these are the themes that we're building here. Data analysis. I'm going to put page number, thematic analysis. That might come up. That will likely come up later on in the kōnae. So that's just useful to put there anyway. The key themes that appeared to me for these beginning teachers in meeting the needs of the Māori children. So we can see that here. And so building relationships, empowerment of pre-service wānanga, routines and learning. These are her 4 main findings, I would say. So routines and learning. But the other one I want to put up here is the Wānanga one, empowerment of pre-service wānanga. So I think, yeah, empowerment of pre-service wānanga. So in mainstream universities, when they do kaupapa Māori, they usually do it in a wānanga space. And so for these beginning teachers, they engaged in a pre-service, so that's pre-service teaching. So like you guys are, they engaged in a wānanga where they must have had a lot of information that they gathered from there. Okay, so anyway, we can see here that we've got positive relationships and building relationships here as 2 common themes, and that's what it's kind of like as a thematic. You're kind of reading through and kind of thinking, oh, all these people are saying the same things about building relationships. You can also, again, look at kahikitia, tātai ako. They also really highlight that building relationships for Māori is important in education, for anyone to teach Māori in education. So those are another 2 that you might look at and look at the main points that they're trying to make. Yeah, so now that we've done that, and we've done it just really briefly for 2 of them, so again, it just sort of helps you go into the reading and really ruku or dive into the information that you need to find. So once you come here, and we're going to do a real quick one for Lang. Oh no, yes, for Lang here. So the first study reviewed was author, I'm just going to copy and paste that. Copy. And that's why it's really good to do that table. Make sure your referencing is correct. I actually don't, yeah, okay. Who researched, again, okay. Lang, I think let's go back to her method. Conducted 4 semi-structured interviews. Again, so that's why, conducted 4 semi-structured interviews with who? With 4 teachers. Now again, so now I'm starting to think, but were they Pākehā? Well, they must have been. Or were they non-Māori? But that's where I would need to go back and just double check from the reading. So they had to be, anyway. Yeah, just to be sure. Conducted 4 semis with Pākehā teachers of Māori students. The purpose of the research was to, again, we go back here. I'm just going to, again, encourage culturally responsive teaching. Encourage culturally responsive teaching as a form of social justice in education or in the classroom. So again, you really need to edit, re-edit, think about what you're trying to say here. Yeah, Lang found that, again, go back to our thing here, building positive relationships with Māori students is vital for Māori student success in education. Now, again, that goes back to the quality of reading the, reading and understanding what the interviewer is trying to say about the, from their research, or what the people said. That's really that's the first draft of how you would write that sentence. It's not the final. I wouldn't expect it to be the final, but as you can see, it's really, again, cut out the fluff. Again, and up here, we say if we're going theme 1, what we're already starting to say is positive relationships might end up being theme 1, ships. Okay. Positive relationships is beginning to look like what the theme 1 is. Let's try that again with hunt. Okay, the second, again, because we already know that we're looking for positive relationships, the first theme is actually positive relationships. Okay, the second study reviewed was, and we'll go hunt 2006. Title, I'm just going to copy her title, it's a little bit weirdy. That's not letting me. Anyway, as you can tell, put title in here. Who researched? You don't even need to use these words. You can come up with your own. This just makes it easier, so you know you're hitting all the points. So here, bold, italic. Bold, italic. The purpose of this study was to, now did I write anything in here? Empower non-Māori teachers. And again, this is just a quick one, and it really depends on the quality of the article and the quality of your reading of the article and your understanding. Empower non-Māori teachers. Method. Again, we're just doing here. There you go. They use open-ended individual interviews. Hunt used open-ended interviews on teachers who self-identified as non-Māori. Notice Māori. Here you might even start looking at what questions were asked. So again, even though it says here, you could put more information here and the information that's useful. And let's see. Hunt. I can't remember if you need to put the year in each time. Sometimes I don't think you need to. Hunt found that, now we go back to that relationship part. Keep going back to our thing here. Building relationships with Māori students, and I can go back to the reading again. Again, so it is a little bit, of going to and from in between different parts of the, so you're writing, you're reading, you're writing, you're going back. See, even here, so you've got some of the questions that they used here. So these are questions you could also put in your own interviews that you want to interview later. Once you've received approval from the ethics committee. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I'm trying to find where it says about relationships. But you know, I think you're getting like the idea here that it's really going between. So when you're creating your table here, the quality of that table really helps writing this easy. Like it's easy to write this once you have read the article and really understand the different parts of the article. I think that's enough for now. So when we're looking at themes, the themes will pop out. So you put study 1, study 2, study 3, 4, 5, 6, even start with your year 2 ones and fill this out for your year 2 literature. And start filling it out, and you can start seeing what the themes are now. So we can see here, positive relationships. Here, building relationships. That is then going to become one of the themes, obviously. And so we'll talk about what that looks like in the next one. Building positive relationships. Now, if I want to just bring you back to, now this is, Tiffany is the student who we're using, and so we'll look at her themes. Yeah, so her themes here. Wait on, sorry. Literature review, let's go. She found 2. Building positive relationships with students and believing that students can achieve. So for Pākehā teachers to have that high belief in their Māori students, I think that's what that one is about. Now, bearing in mind, again, this one was from a few years ago. The 2 examples in Ia Koranga, Puia, Te Wai Puia and Angel Henry were later, so they're probably a little bit better. So just keep using them all as reference points. Okay. So this one is the first theme that we're obviously finding from our readings is that effective Pākehā teachers of Māori students need to understand that for Māori students, building positive relationships is really important. Okay, so that's it for the session. That one was a bit of a long one, but it was really important to be able to just go through, show you the table, create the table, and then grab the information that's relevant, and then start writing it out. But after you start writing it out, you can see that you still need to like bounce between the writing of it, the table, and the reading. So you really want to make sure that you've got all of that stuff available when you're doing the writing. And just one more thing, just as I told you last time, just a reminder of what the tasks are. Review your year 2 literature review. Okay, review it. Have a look at it. Is it good? Is it not good? What needs to change? What can stay the same? And so it would be really cool to use that table exercise for last year's, this one here. So it'd be really cool to look at last year's literature review, if it's useful, and if you're still doing the same kaupapa. If you're not doing the same kaupapa, it will not be useful. Don't do it. Just start looking for new literature. If you're staying with the same kaupapa, it will be useful, just so you can see again what the actual themes are that are coming out. You might find there whanaungatanga, and of course we might even, instead of calling it building relationships, you might call it whanaungatanga. You might find whānau involvement, so use last year's if you're doing the same kaupapa to fill it out to start with, and then with you're doing from part A when you're finding new literature, add study 4, study 5, study 6. The more you read and the more you can find that it's really, really close to your kaupapa, will just inform you even more. So now that we've gone and looked at that one, what needs to change, what can stay the same? The easy thing is if your kaupapa has changed, don't look at it. If it's the same, then look at it. Search for and identify for further literature. And so again, now you know what to do. Once you've got it, do the table. In the table, you can start writing, or you can start first by even identifying what the themes are, and then you can start writing. So that's why in part B, you're even at a further step that you can actually start writing your draft literature review. And don't forget, with the online discussion, that you need to upload your annotated bibliography of the new literature that you've found. Just a reminder what that is. It's simply the author, the year, the title, and listing the findings that relate to your kaupapa in whatever depth. Doesn't matter, depth or just bullet pointed, Kate's pie, just so we know why you're finding those literature and why you've identified them as useful for your kaupapa. And again, number 3, so by now, if you've got any further questions, 1, use each other, talk to your other students, and then 2, contact the kaiako for one-on-one time so that you can get that support if you're really, really, really stuck. Ka pai? All right. Good luck again. Just again, keep going. The more that you just keep plodding along and keep doing the mahi, the clearer it will become. And so when we hopefully get back to business as usual, and if we get time to have a noho, then we can review these things that we've talked about. All right, ka kite.